I spent 53 days carving a massive chunk of wood into a life-size T-Rex skull. Yeah, it was a lot. But the reason I took on something so crazy? Well, that's where things get interesting. Let me explain. Last year I created one of my most challenging sculptures ever, a T-Rex skull that tested my ability. I don't know if it was the difficulty, the final result, or my obsession with dinosaurs, but it became the standard by which I judge all of my work, and nothing I've made since has measured up. But now, a year later, that sculpture has sold and the challenge is clear. It's time to push my limits even further and create something that sets a whole new standard for my artwork. This is the creation of Apex. My initial vision for this sculpture was to use these walnut slabs I've had in my shop for years, but I realized there was a big problem. I only have 2 of these slabs, and if I want to make a life-size skull, I'll need way more material. So I hopped over on my Instagram page and asked you guys what type of wood species and design I should use for this, and the results were staggering. The majority of voters wanted the walnut with maple racing stripes. So obviously, I went with the Black Limba. This is 350 board feet of Black Limba, and the reason I chose not to listen to any of you, it's not because I don't like you. I do like you guys, well, most of you guys, but I chose not to listen to you because the unique end grain in Black Limba and the color scheme that really reminds me of fossils. Here you can really see that end grain. It's got these black swirling patterns that I think are just going to look awesome when I carve into the skull. What I'm doing here is milling up all the wood so the boards are perfectly flat and square. For all of you non-woodworkers, getting a piece of wood perfectly flat and square may seem like a simple process, but it can actually take a lot longer than you think, especially if you're processing over 300 feet. This is going to take a very long time. This sculpture is not a commissioned piece, so it'll be listed for sale after the video is released. Not doing commission pieces is really a double-edged sword. I get to make it the exact way that I want, but there's also a huge risk because it may not sell and I take on 100% of the costs on my own. Let's just hope Apex lives up to its name. And because I'm doing this voiceover and editing after the fact, I already know the answer, but I'm not going to say what I think. I want to hear it from you guys and see what you guys think about this sculpture when it's finished. Alright guys, I have an invention. I just emptied out my 3rd full garbage can of sawdust and it got me thinking. I have a pellet grill. How cool would it be if I could, instead of throwing out all that sawdust, what if I could put it in a little machine that makes pellets for my grill? How cool would that be? If one of my buddies comes over and says, you know, hey, this is a good rack of ribs, what'd you smoke it with? Oh, that's just my T-Rex blend. And I'm not even kidding, I really do think this is a good idea. Like, why is this not a thing? I can't think of a reason why, but maybe one of you do, so let me know down in the comments why this wouldn't work. Alright, so after 8 days of milling lumber and gluing up boards, I'm still short. I need about double the thickness I have here in these slabs, so it's time to put my head in the sand and get to work. I've never really thought about that phrase until right here now editing this video, but what the hell does that even mean? Put your head in the sand? I don't think you could get much done at all if your head was in the sand. Unless you're an anteater or something, because they probably get a lot of work done in the sand, but I'm not an anteater, I'm just a sculptor, trying to make a realistic T-Rex skull so my kids think I'm cool. So let's get back to that. All right, this took me a lot longer than I thought. This took me around 40 minutes just to jigsaw this one piece. I have 11 more over there to do, so maybe one of you math wizards can do the calculation for me, but this is gonna take a very long time. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm labeling each day on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen so you can see the day-to-day progress. I really shouldn't have to explain myself here, but I know I'm gonna get a comment from Bruce in Indiana that goes something like this. You only did 5 minutes of work on day 12. That wasn't a full day's worth of work. I could have done that in 2 minutes. Well, here's what you don't know, hypothetical Bruce from Indiana. Turns out I only film a very teensy-weensy amount of footage every day. And if I were to film everything I do and show you my full day's worth of work, this video would be around 485 hours long and nobody would watch it. Okay, now I'm done venting. Let's get back to making these teeth. A little later on in this video, I'm going to make some life-size T-Rex teeth that serve a functional purpose. Stick around and one of these could be yours to use at your home. Alright, now you can see a little bit better of an idea of how this is going to work. I basically have all these slabs kind of pre-cut out, the profile view of the skull, and I'm going to glue them all together. This thing is already getting super heavy. I mean, I don't know the total weight here, but it is a lot and I'm gonna really struggle to move this thing around. Alright, while the upper skull is in its final glue up, it's time to start on the lower jaw, and it's basically the same process but on a slightly smaller scale. One of the hardest parts for me while editing is trying to find the right sound. I spent a good hour trying to figure out the word whatever sound those wood pieces would make when I move them around. Finally, I just gave up and wobbled myself. Does anyone know a better way of explaining a sound and trying to figure that out? Because I have zero idea. This thing is an absolute tank. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm a big template guy, meaning I use templates to measure and reference every part of this sculpture. I'm in awe of sculptors who can just sculpt something from their mind. That is absolutely insane. For me, I'm just not built that way, and I need to use templates in order to get my proportions correct. A lot of times I'll actually hire a 3D artist to basically model my templates, but let me let you in on a little secret. Sometimes you can just find amazing references online. Check out this 3D model that I use. This is through Sketchfab. And if you also just Google ZBrush and the animal that you want, there's also a ton of really good references you could use. I've been working on something revolutionary for you guys. Introducing Blade Cam. I think it's gonna be cool, but may not work at all. Let's check it out. I've had this idea for a long time and I finally get to test it out. I always like bringing you guys different angles of the carving process, and I think it could be pretty cool because you'll get to see exactly what I see while I carve. Let me know what you guys think about this new angle. The beginning stages of every sculpture is just taking off a little bit of material at a time. You never want to go super aggressive and just start making big cuts because that's where mistakes happen. Just slow and steady, and eventually whatever you're carving will start to take shape, if you use your templates all along the way. I love asking you guys for your input on my future sculptures, but I gotta be honest, most of the time we don't agree on things. Take this sculpture's name for example. I did a poll over on a community post here on YouTube, and if you didn't see it, you're probably not subscribed, so go ahead and hit that sub button if you want to be included. Anyways, I asked you guys what the name of this sculpture should be, and it was not what I was expecting. I gave you guys 3 names thinking that one would stand out among the rest. It turns out one did, but it was one that I just threw in there after just watching Dumb and Dumber, and I didn't actually think you guys would like the name Lloyd. But then I remembered, today is April 1st, April Fool's Day. So you little sneaksters tried to pull a fast one on me, and it's basically opposite day. I knew you guys loved the name Apex the most, thank goodness, because that would have been a close one. And if you're a detective, don't go looking back at the date I posted that poll, because it was definitely April 1st, and I don't know where that post went, it's gone now. So strange. Okay, you may think this is jumping the gun and I'm pedestal shopping way too soon, but I plan to get a custom marble or quartzite tabletop built for this sculpture, and I have no clue how long it takes for them to fabricate something specific. So I'm looking now and I am blown away by the variance of marble and quartzite and granite slabs these places have. This is insane. I had no idea there were so many options and so many cool different patterns. Here's a marble slab and it looks just like the end grain of this black limba. I also love this. This is a Taj Mahal quartzite that I think could work. But I want to see all my options, so I spent the entire day going to every single granite and marble and countertop place in my entire county, and I finally stumbled upon the perfect one. No, not that one. This one. This might be my favorite I've seen so far. This is a full slab of quartzite that has the color scheme I've been looking for and a veining pattern that correlates perfectly with the black limba grain. I can't wait to see what this thing looks like finished, but I'm also a bit nervous because this is by far the most expensive tabletop I've ever purchased. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the carving. All right, guys, it is day 5 of carving this thing nonstop, and I just need to switch things up. My forearms are absolutely feeling it from holding these angle grinders for the past 5 days. So I'm gonna switch things up, and we are going to start on the lower jaw. I know I said I needed to keep away from that angle grinder, but I lied to myself. I just couldn't resist. I had to use it to get as much progress as I possibly could, and I'm super happy with how much progress I made today. Well, not technically today because I'm doing the voiceover after, but you get the picture. Day 27. Now I need to be super careful and protect my thinner pieces of wood because any mistake now could ruin this entire sculpture. And speaking of protection, it's also important to protect your data. Like, I've been getting a ton of texts saying that I have payments due and multiple spam calls a day. Hello? If this is happening to you, it probably means that your information is floating around the internet through third parties, scammers, data brokers, and anyone else that may want to target you. Sometimes your information can even get taken by hackers, like this recent case from Grubhub. This happened only a couple days ago. The good news is that you have the right to protect your privacy and request that the data brokers remove the information they have about you. That's where this video's sponsor, Incogni, comes in, to help you do exactly that. They can do all the work for you by requesting the data brokers that your information be removed. And since many data brokers continue collecting your information even after they have removed it, Incogni makes sure your information stays off the market by conducting removal requests. They're also available risk-free for over 30 days, so you can try it out and get a full refund if you're not 100% satisfied. Incogni is offering you guys 60% off right now, so if you're interested in getting your personal information taken down and an additional 60% off an annual plan, use code BMS at the link below and in the description. Thanks, Incogni. I'm taking out this middle section right here because I forgot I'll be adding a light source under the lower jaw, and I want the light to show through this area. It's amazing what just rounding the edges does. I mean, over the past week, I feel like I've made minimal progress. Couldn't even tell what I did from day to day. But today, just rounding these sharp edges made a huge difference. So very happy with the progress today, and excited to get after it tomorrow. "33 days into this sculpture, and I finally get to start working on the details. These skulls have so much detail, and I'm going to try my best to show every little part throughout this sculpture. I simply can't state it enough. When doing a carving like this, you just need to slowly keep picking away at the little details and keep referencing your templates and pictures every couple of minutes to make sure you're not messing up or carving off too much. This is the moment of truth. It's been 35 days, and this is the very first time I fit and see the lower and upper jaws come together. It's crucial that I make a snug fit between the pairing because the two connection points are the main structural supports on this entire sculpture. Check out this sketchy situation. The upper jaws almost slid all the way off the back. That could have been really bad. Crisis averted, but that just goes to show you how good the fitting of the upper and lower jaw have to be. Is that a sander? Whoa, guys, we're now sanding. That means we're pretty close to this thing being finished. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this lower jaw, finish sanding it, and putting in the very fine details, and this lower jaw is pretty much done. Oh, I guess minus the teeth. I forgot the teeth. It's gonna be a lot more work. Just a couple more touch-ups on these connections here, and these will fit together snug as a bug. Check out those beautiful connections. Alright, remember earlier in this video when I said I was making something with all that scrap wood I have? These are going to be life-size teeth that will serve a functional purpose. Any guesses? Here, I'll have my daughter even give you a hint.
And it's kind of like, this is how sharp a real T-Rex is, but not like sharp as it, but it's the same size. But can you imagine a dinosaur tooth being that big? It is that big.
Well, do you know now? Alright, I'll give you a hint. One opens bottles, and another variation of this will help preserve the liquid inside of a bottle. Okay, I just can't resist anymore. They're bottle openers and wine stoppers, okay? And they're available right now for purchase over on my website. I have around 40 or so total, and I just think they're pretty cool because they're literally the size of a T-Rex tooth. They're around 6 inches, and it's just crazy thinking that this thing with this size of teeth roamed the earth. That's pretty nuts. The link to these are down in the description. We are now in the sanding stage of this sculpture, and then we still have to add the teeth, but we are making some good progress now, so let's get this thing fully sanded. Alright, sometimes to move forwards, you gotta move backwards. And this is already pretty much sanded on the outside, but we're going back because I do not like these parts right here. They're way too big. So today I'm going to work backwards. I'm gonna carve these down a little bit. And hopefully that looks, not as bulbous. Kind of looks like balloon animals, and that's really not the look that I want here. So I'm gonna go ahead and work backwards here, carve that, and then start sanding again. This is called water popping, and what it does is raise the wood grain. See all of it raised right here? Once it dries, you sand it off and the wood becomes super smooth. I also like water popping because you get a sneak peek at what the finish will look like on the wood, and I'm very excited to see that. Here it is completely sanded. Now all I have left to do is finish sanding the teeth, but I have a problem. This sculpture has already taken me 41 days. I was fully expecting to be finished by now, and I have a big family trip planned to Fairbanks, Alaska to visit my brother and his family. That means I'm bringing work on the road with me. Thank you to my entire family for helping me sand these. And if you think I took advantage of them by putting them to work on vacation, you're right, I sure did. But don't worry, I showed them some magic tricks in -10 degrees too. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa, that was pretty.
You're welcome. Now let's get back to fine tuning and installing these teeth. And that is not ideal, especially this late in the game. But someone smart once told me, a good woodworker is just someone who can hide their mistakes better than others. So that is exactly what I'm going to try and do here. You might be thinking I have too much glue squeeze out here, but I actually want this much because I'll be coming back with my little dental tools and cleaning all this out. Today is finally the day. The Quartzite pedestal top is complete and we finally get to see it for the very first time. It turned out even better than I could have imagined. The coloring and veining streaks in this stone perfectly correlate with the Black Limba end grain, and I can't wait to see the finished sculpture on this slab. This triangular piece is where the lower jaws will attach. I made a thick acrylic top that extends beyond the sidewalls here, and now I need to chisel out matching grooves in the jaw so it can slide on and support the weight of the finished sculpture. A sharp chisel is a must. I got a bit carried away with the pedestal and forgot about the upper teeth. Let me knock these out real quick and then it's time for the finishing touches. I have my buddy Alex over from Under the Water Design, and we are finally going to assemble this thing for the very first time. It fit near perfectly on the very first time, and that never happens over here. I never get anything right on the first try. There was just a tiny little adjustments and we got that thing fitting perfect, and I am so happy with how this thing looks put together. Now I am back to the details, and I forgot these little tooth holes above their gums. I don't know what these do, but they're on every model I've seen, every real life skull, so we need to add these details in. Look at that! What a delivery. Alex spent weeks building a custom pedestal base over at his shop using the same black limba from leftover boards. He absolutely blew this one out of the park. I love the mid-century modern design, and this is going to look awesome underneath that quartzite. We are in the final stages of this sculpture. It's day 51 and no mistakes can be made now or it would be a huge setback.
Yo, Blake.
Huh?
I think we got it. Is this spelled correctly?
It's supposed to be artistry. Yeah, so that happened. I literally thought I proofread that thing like 20 times and I still misspelled it. What an idiot. Luckily, I was able to pull it off without damage and laser etch a new plaque. Thank you to my helper Kenny who pointed that out to me before this thing was fully assembled. That would have been bad. Apex has been one of the most demanding and rewarding sculptures I've undertaken. Spanning 53 days and over 450 hours of work, this life-size T-Rex skull weighs more than 80 pounds and stretches over 4 feet in length. This sculpture is currently available for purchase. If you or someone you know is interested, you'll find a link in the description below. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on all my latest creations. This piece was born from a desire to challenge myself and redefine what's possible in my work. It was a personal milestone, a test in growth and vision. Whether it sets a new standard in my journey, I'll let you be the judge. I give you Apex.